Paparazzi Imaging and Films. Today is the first drop of our first episode of our podcast, the Vignette podcast. So we're going to be talking about a few hot topics in this podcast. Some things that you guys asked of us, a couple rumors that are going around in the snowmobile industry, and some things that we think that would be interesting to see back in the sport of snowcross. So let's dive into it. The purpose of this podcast is to talk about the ins and outs of the motorsports industry, specifically the snowcross side that we are so heavily involved in. I myself shoot videography and photography during the regionals and the national circuits of the snowmobile community. Of the snowcross industry. So the purpose of this podcast is to talk about the nitty-gritty, the ins and outs, and all the industry secrets, the rumors, everything that is happening in the snowcross industry, talking with team managers, team owners, past champions, mechanics, people that have been heavily involved in the snowcross industry, and really not just talking about the snowcross industry either, talking about stuff from media side to people that are more interested in the motorsports industry, really, what we do here at Paparazzi Imaging and Films, your guys' questions. So really, it's just everything that involves media, basically, and what we want to talk about on our podcast. It's not, like I said, it's not going to be limited to snowcross. It's going to be pretty much everything. That's the whole name of the Vignette, is it's an outline of anything and everything that could be talked about. So yeah, that's the purpose of this. We did put out a poll about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, asking if you guys would like for us to start a podcast, and there was a lot of interest. So that's kind of also the purpose of this podcast, to give you guys, another insight to us, the industry, and everything that involves us as well. That involves anything else outside motorsports. So that leads into the second point of why we started it. It was for you guys, and I feel as if the snowmobile and motorsports industry as a whole is kind of missing this point of media. You know, having a visual along with conversation is very good for just talking to people and also listening. A lot of people do podcasts nowadays, but there isn't a lot of people that do podcasts in the snowcross industry, and we feel as if we can kind of lead that path and have another outlet for everybody to talk to and everybody to have a conversation with, and just, again, talk to those legends, talk to those mechanics, talk to those team owners, to those riders, and whoever else that we want to be involved with. So yeah, the plan for the podcast is to have another outlet to talk to those people and really just, excel our media outlets for you guys. As you know, I shoot video and photo and do a lot of graphic design as well. I do have a partner of mine, TR Photo. You guys might know him. He helps me a lot with graphic design. He also helps me with photography. He's based out of Fargo, North Dakota, where the first round of snowcross was held. So yeah, he's a partner with me. Unfortunately, it's going to be hard for us to do a podcast being here next to each other, but we're gonna try to make it work. But yeah, the plan is to go forward with this and having another talking point for the media side of things. But yeah, platforms that we're going to be streaming on, all the videos are going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on SoundCloud, Spotify, Facebook, a little bit of Instagram and TikTok, but not too much. There's probably just going to be highlights of what we talk about with the people that we do have on the podcast and just me talking. So Yeah, if you guys have any interest of who wants to be on our show, leave it in the comments below. We will reach out to them. We do have a lot of people that we want to have on this podcast in the future. So yeah, drop your comments below who you want to see, and we'll try our best to get them on this podcast for you guys. 2023 Snowcross season recap. I thought it was a great season. It started off very, very strong. Fargo was very cold. It was in the negative 30s all weekend long, but it was a solid weekend. It was great to see Cody Cam win the Dominator and come out swinging in the first round. Next to Elias Ashul, which was four-time champ, now five-time champ in the pro division. But just to see Cody Cam come out and just really, really put the hammer down on the whole field, it was great to see a new brand out there on the podium. But throughout the whole season, it was very exciting. There was a lot of crashes I don't really want to talk about, but going from Fargo, Deadwood. We didn't get to see the East Coast in New York at the Salamanca venue, which really, really sucked due to weather. But that was really the only downfall of the season that we had. But going forward, like I said, it was a great season. Coming to the last race at Dubuque, Iowa, it was it was a struggle, but to say the least, it was very fun because the rain made it very unique. The weather wasn't really in our favor, but come Sunday, it was it was very fun, to say the least, because we all had to come in and make a decision on whether the event was going to be held or not. But Snowcross came through. They made the event happen, and it was really more so uh, watercross and mudcross much than rather than snowcross, but again, they made it happen, and it was a great season. It was very fun, traveling around, talking to new people, seeing people that follow us on Instagram, on all of our social media outlets. So it was a really good time, and interact with all the fans, with all the riders. Me shooting a lot of content for those amateurs, along with our documentary series Chasing Winter, which is a very big hit right now, and we can't wait to expand that. Along with all the other media, like I said, with this podcast, we're doing a documentary. We're going to be partnering up with a lot of great companies this coming season. So talk about that a little bit. We'll be expanding to an 8 episode series. And I don't really want to dive too much into it, but we're gonna be getting a lot of great stories this next season with Chasing Winter from past pros, mechanics, people that are in the industry but also in different industries. So it's going to be a great storytelling third season with Chasing Winter. I don't really want to release any details, but once we get to that point, I'll let you guys know. But follow us on Instagram, Facebook, so you guys can be up to date with what we have going on. Also, with that being said, 2023 season was great. Wouldn't change it for the season. But yeah, moving forward, topic that has been brought up from one of our friends at the Snowmobile Racing Network, Matt Greenwood. He did drop a story about a couple weeks ago about Yamaha's involvement in Snowcross and if they would come back. Their platform didn't last that very long. It went from 2006 to 2009. They had a couple legends on there. On their team, they were partnered up with Boss Racing, but I think they should really, really get back involved in Snowcross. That's just my point of view. They did come swinging out with a 4-stroke, which was an industry surprise for the most part. They did get on a couple of podiums. They had a legend, Robbie Malinowski, on their team with a few other riders. But I do believe that they should get back involved. One, it would make another manufacturer come back into the sport. Two, it would add more talent, more money, more more machines on the sled besides the top three that are on the track right now, and it would just again be more involvement. I think the sport needs it. The sport needs that involvement from a factory team. They did have a little bit of success, but now I think with the crazy technology that we have, and just the talent pool that we have, just to have them back involved in snowcross would be huge. I think that they would have a lot of success nowadays. Again, like I said, with technology, than they did back then. Not to say that they weren't successful, but I think they would have a better chance at it now, especially if they did bring back the four stroke. If they didn't and they had a two stroke platform, or even partnered up with Arctic Cat like they do now for their mountain sleds. I do believe Yamaha is produced from Arctic Cat chassis wise, and then everything else outside of that. Correct me if I'm wrong, leave it in the comments below, but I do believe that the chassis side comes from Arctic Cat. But nevertheless, I think they should get back involved from a factory standpoint, from a rider standpoint. It would be very, very beneficial. And moving on from that, there has been a lot of rumors going around. I'm not really going to talk much about those rumors besides what they are. And if you guys want to drop your comments below, more certainly can do that. But going down from the rumors, 9 weekend schedule for Snowcross, I do believe that that will be exciting. One, two, it would bring more racing, more media, but less downtime for the riders, for manufacturers to get parts to the riders, to the factory teams if anybody did break parts. Less recoup time, but that's what it is. Motorsports is very demanding. Nevertheless, it's survival of the fittest, really. So, in my opinion, I think it'd be really, really exciting. It would be 18 rounds instead of 16 rounds, 9 weekends. So, we'll just have to wait and see what they do, what they announce. Excuse me. Elias Ashul retiring, possibly switching teams or brand. I don't really see that happening. It could happen, but he has such a solid program over there with Skidoo. I don't really see them switching, or him switching at all. Jordan LaBelle switching teams. Again, I did hear that rumor coming at the tail end of the season that he possibly would be switching teams. I don't think so. He is Skidoo's baby, and he has a lot of success with Warner Racing. He turned pro with them, so I don't really see him moving teams unless it's a better fit for him. But he has such a solid program over there. His teammate Francis Pelletier moving teams over to 1-3 Motorsports. Again, I could see them wanting a pro, but I don't see them taking Francis. Francis was second points with his team at Warner Racing his rookie year in pro. But again, I don't see him switching teams. If they do, they're going to announce it. Again, these are all rumors, so we're just talking about them. We're not really confirming them. Again, it's just conversation. And what's happening with All Finish? Last thing I heard is that they are staying open. They are going to continue racing. They're not closing their doors. They did buy a brand new semi that is phenomenal. If you guys see it through the pits, it is great to see. That thing is beautiful, very well designed. But yeah, I don't see them closing doors, nor have I heard anything of them wanting to close doors. It is confirmed from a couple people that they weren't. And I do believe that they would put a press release out saying that they were done. But again, I don't see that happening. But there is also a question with their team rider, Jacob Björk. What is going to happen with him? He really didn't have a solid season this season or the season before. especially with him getting hurt at his hometown race, or the team's hometown race in Fargo. He really had an injury with his knee. I do believe it was MCL, ACL, and meniscus. I could be wrong. I don't really remember the whole list of his injury, but I know it was a knee injury, and he was carted off the track by the FXR mobile medical crew, and it didn't look very good. So yeah, we'll just have to see what happens with him. Hench's Racing being done, I don't think so. They're a full-fledged Polaris factory team, and from what I was told, um, Cody Cam and Oscar Norm are going to be back next season. So I think that is a telling sign that they will be back next season. Another rumor is that the team was sold. I don't believe so. But again, these are just rumors. And these are coming back from my good friend Matt Greenwood at the Snowmobile Racing Network. So yeah, and these were just what he put out on social media. But next story is Logan Christian. Is he going to retire? I did talk to a few people that if he retires, his whole team, his whole family is done with Snowcross. But I don't think he's going to be done. I think he's got maybe 1 or 2 more years in him. In my opinion, I think he should hop back on a cat after being with Skidoo for a year. I think he should definitely get back on a cat. That suits his style. He had a lot of success on an Arctic Cat, especially breathing down Tugger Hibbert's neck back in the day in the Pro Mod class. So I think he should go back to a cat. If not, just stay on a Skidoo and really work out those kinks. He's a really talented rider, really skilled on a sled. He's got everything in his court. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be done. Boss Racing True North going bigger for next season. I do believe that will happen. Of course, every team wants to go bigger. They want to have a pro rider. They want to have more sponsors. And they have 3 pro light riders on their team now. Trent Wentworth on Arctic Cat, Dylan Rose on a Skidoo, and Cale Callan on a Skidoo. It looks like the team is full-fledged Skidoo besides Whitworth, and I did hear that he is going to be going to Skidoo next season, but that is not confirmed. But that's just a rumor that I've heard at the tail end of the season. They were just waiting for him to want to make the jump. So if that is true, we'll see him on a Skidoo next season. But if not, he's solid on an Arctic Cat. They just need to get that platform figured out. He's been on Arctic Cat for a long time, besides the 2 years that he was, or I should say season and a half, excuse me, that he was on the Judnick Motorsports Racing team. But yeah, he's an Arctic Cat guy through and through. Same with Logan Christian. So they kind of have the same story. And moving on from there, West Coast Customs Racing team looking for a pro light rider. They did have a rider lined up last season with Theo Poirier, but there was some visa issues coming from Canada over to the States. So again, if they have a pro light rider lined up already, they haven't announced it. We'll have to wait and see come heydays and come next season. Team LaValle going with 2 pro riders. I do see Riley Bester going into the pro class, but I do not see him moving up until he gets a pro light title. He is very hungry for that title, and I'm sure Polaris wants that title after Skidoo winning the pro light title this past season with Jordan LaBelle. So maybe give it another shot with Riley Bester. He has a speed, he has a team, he is very solid as a rider, he is very talented. I know he can get the job done, so maybe just wait another year for LaValle's to take him pro. Again, it's all about Polaris, it's all about what they want, but I would say keep him in pro light for another year and clinch that pro light championship. Nick Lorenz going pro with Hammer Motorsports. I do see that happening. It's a matter of time, especially with the sponsors that he has, especially Polaris. I do see that happening. The word has been going around the pits that there is going to be a moment in time when he just decides that he's going to go pro. And I did hear from one of the team mechanics that even if he doesn't clinch a title, he will move to pro. So maybe this coming season is the season that he moves to pro with Hemmer Motorsports and Polaris. So we'll just have to wait and see come heydays. Next, Emilhar signed 3 year extension with Jednik Motorsports. That is true, confirmed, and done deal. He will be with them for the next 3 seasons, and that's super exciting. He had a kick butt season this past season, breathing down Elias's neck through the halfway point of the season, especially with the Triple Crown events. He was just dominating them and just getting really, really close to closing that gap on the points with Elias. Unfortunately, he didn't, but it was a solid season for him. He and his team did come out guns a-blazing halfway through the season, and I do see him clinching that title next season. He was just on another level with that Polaris, with that rocket ship underneath him. So yeah, it's good to see him sign that deal with his team, Jednik Motorsports. Look forward to next season as well. KC Motorsports taking one of the Evans to pro. If I had to guess, it would be Evan Doubt. He is the Christian Craig of Pro Light and Snowcross. So yeah, I see him going. I see Evan Christian staying in Pro Light, giving that Pro Light championship a few more runs. Yeah, Evan Doubt going pro. I see that. And Aki Pelayo still being a hot commodity for these teams, for these race teams. Of course, he would stay with a Skidoo team, but being a hot commodity at 34 years old and getting 2 podiums in the 2023 season, yeah, I could see him landing on a solid team next season, possibly the 1-3, Warner, who knows, maybe even Boss Racing. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. He's very talented. He's been in pro for a long time. I think it was like 6 years now he's been in pro. Yeah. So I think that we've been hearing a lot through our social media and throughout the pits, throughout the snowcross industry, is bring back mods. Um, I believe that the mod class should come back, but it should be a limited mod class. What I mean by that is that pro should be a mod limited class to where they can do only certain amount of things to the motor. They should have double pipes, not a single Y pipe going into one pipe coming out of the exhaust ports. But they should leave the chassis alone, and they should have their R&D testing going into a limited amount of motor work and having suspension. Of course, suspension is key. Every sled that comes off production has their suspension that they run for those sleds. But yeah, I think it should be a limited class, and ISR and Snowcross tech should be heavily involved in teching these sleds so they are staying within the parameters of those limitations of a pro sled, pro limited mod sled. Every sled either getting torn down, teched, so then those sleds are being, being stayed in those limitations. They're not going outside those limitations to where they are going to be cheater sleds, and being faster than the competition and making it an advantage to win that championship. But yeah, I think it should be a limited pro mod sled and having heavy tech involved. Because of course I want to see the pro mod sleds back. That was the era that I got into media, is 2014-15 season. There was heavy involvement in a pro mod sled with Jednik Motorsports, Henches, Team 68, Warner Racing, all those guys, Ross Martin, Tucker Hebert, Cody Cam, Peter Narsa, Tim Tremblay, all those guys were on pro mod sleds. It was an open class. So to have that back, to have it a limited class, I think would be very beneficial. It would keep it budget friendly, but also keep it very exciting for the fans, for the riders, for the up and comers, and to have bigger tracks as well. We had a few big tracks this season, Fargo being one, Cannonsburg, ERX. There was a couple others in there, but it with having a pro limited would make it for bigger jumps, bigger air, exciting to see in person for those fans, for those old fans to be involved, to come back. And yeah, I think, isn't it every little kid's dream to be on a pro mod sled? I I would love to rip one, but obviously I don't want to get hurt. This is my full-time job, so yeah, to have a pro limited mod sled would be really really sweet. Fan base wise, little kids coming up to be on a pro mod sled would be be every little kid's dream. So yeah, that's my opinion. Don't make it a full pro mod open class. Be a pro limited class. So that's gonna wrap it up for this podcast. A little bit short, but that's all right. I didn't really want to dive into the long, lengthy podcasts. Just some opinions, some rumors that are going around, some things that have been in the talks. The purpose of this podcast. So yeah, if you guys like this first episode, hit that like button. Give my YouTube page a follow. Hit that subscribe button. Follow me on all my social media accounts: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and yeah, we're gonna have a special guest on episode 2. So, like I said, make sure to hit that subscribe button, follow us, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.